Hi everybody, this is me, Roger Aladdin Daltrey, and today I'm doing you another exciting video for you guys. And it's going to be my first unboxing video in a long time. The last unboxing video I uploaded was back in August, which was the Electric Light Orchestra Classic Albums Collection unboxing video. And today I'm going to be doing an artist that I've never actually talked to you guys about before because, well, I did mention him once in the New Year's Eve message video to wish you guys all the best for 2018. So I am, of course, talking about Leo Sayer, the complete studio recordings, 1971 to 2006. Now, this is a box set that came out 5 years ago, and this basically includes every single album that he has entirely recorded. So basically, his entire collection. And then on the back of the box, we have all these albums mentioned in the 2 discs. And then there's all 12 studio albums there and 2 bonus tracks. Now, I tried recording this last night. Well, not last night, because I needed to do this when there was a lot of daylight. What happened was, I was in the middle of doing this last night, I mean yesterday, but then I got a bit distracted, so I kind of had to stop the video. So that's why I took the plastic off. But I'll tell you what's on the plastic anyway. It says, the definitive collection, 14 CDs, 166 tracks, including 12 studio albums plus non-album tracks, B-sides and rarities, 32-page booklet, liner notes by Leo, and box set signed by Leo. So that's very amazing. And I thought that little thing right there was a gatefold. But anyway, I got this box set for €50, so 14 albums for 50. Now that is an amazing bargain. And Bargain is also a song title by the cartoon character band on the Who's Next album. Anyway, so without any hesitation, let's get started on this. So Leo Sayer, of course, very famous, and he was very famous in the 70s, and he's got a lot of great hits, and I have to say, he's one of my all-time favourite singers, and I just love his vocals on all these songs. So let's get started. So what we'll do is get all these albums out of the box. It's a very tight box actually, so I'm going to put all the stuff there and put the discs there. Okay, and let's get started. So here's the booklet. At the start there, it has a picture of him and the quote saying, "Just a boy, giving it all away," which I'll talk about in a minute. And then there's all the albums here. And what's really cool about this is that Leo Sayer talks about each album individually. And this was the same in the Electric Light Orchestra video where Jeff Lynne talks about each albums individually, like what was good and what was bad, and maybe some gems about the band members. What were their best moments on it. That's pretty cool. Loads of pictures here for you. It's really worth your money's getting this. And there you go. So yeah, there's an awful lot of music to get through. There's an awful lot of music. So we'll put the box to the side. And now let's go through the albums. The very first album by Leo Sayer that I ever heard was the second one. So I'll talk about that one in a minute. So here is album number 1, his debut album, Silverbird, from 1973. And here's the back cover. And this album was, the only reason why Leo Sayer brought that box out in 2013 was maybe to celebrate the 40th anniversary of this record, which is amazing. And on the back cover there, he looks a bit like Marilyn Manson nearly. Like I said on the Lou Reed Original Album Classics Volume 2 video, he looks a lot like Marilyn Manson on the Rock and Roll Animal live album. So that's pretty cool. But that's just a clown, basically. And he looks very cool on the front. And there's no track listing on this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to read track listing for you on the disc here. So this is what the disc looks like. It's all blue. So the big hit on this album is called The Show Must Go On. And it's also a song title by Queen on the 1991 record, Innuendo, which to me is one of the best Queen albums ever of all time. And it was the last album to be released during Freddie Mercury's lifetime. And also, Celine Dion even covered that song as well. And at John Deacon's final concert with Queen, they played one song called "The Show Must Go On," and basically they had Elton John on lead vocals. Because I know it is impossible to replace Freddie Mercury because he's one of the most irreplaceable singers of all time. And I can see it that way. And then there's also a song in here called The Dancer, which is also a Queen song, which is from the 1982 record, Hot Space. And there's another song on here called Tomorrow, which is a song title by Kiss on the 1980 record, Unmasked. And I really like that song a lot. And I heard most people saying that that's probably the best track on the album, besides Shandy. And also, Tomorrow is also a song title by U2 on the 1981 record, October, which features, of course, the hit single Gloria, and it's also a song title by Van Morrison and Them. And it was a very big hit for him, as well as Here Comes the Night, which David Bowie covered for the Pin-Ups record. That's useful. And then when I think of the title Silverbird, there's two things. Number one, it's actually his record label, and number two, it is a bit of a similar colour bird like Blackbird by the Beatles, which is from the 1968 record, the Beatles' White Album. And this year will be the 50th anniversary of that album. Like last year was the 50th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which is considered as one of the best albums of all time. And I even think about that. And most people would, but it's your own opinion if you like the Beatles or not. Because we all have our own different taste of music, and we all have a different taste in music as well. And also, with Silverbird, it has the same letter S to Songbird by Fleetwood Mac, which is from the incredible Rumours album. And it was sung by Christine McVie. And as a matter of fact, the first time I heard Songbird was the Eva Cassidy version, because I didn't know that Fleetwood Mac had the original version. And the same with Fields of Gold by Sting. And yeah, so that's that album for you. And on this album, by this time, Leo Sayer had a house band on this record, and I think it consists of Dave Courtney on piano, and then there was Bob Henrit on drums. He would also become the drummer for the Kinks for the rest of their career after he replaced Mick Avery. And then there was Dave Winter on the bass. And I forget who else was in the band, but they're the only ones I know. So yeah, that's Silverbird for you. Not much else to say about this one. I might like it, who knows. I might like the hit single, The Show Must Go On. And also, forgot to mention, The Show Must Go On is also a song title by Pink Floyd, which is from the 1979 record, The Wall. And lucky thing, Pink Floyd were able to survive progressive rock because in 1978, Tony Banks of Genesis said that progressive rock died. Like Yes had died after Tornado, and then Emerson, Lake and Palmer died after Love Beach. That's what he said. That's what Tony Banks said when they were reissuing the And Then There Were Three album. And so yeah, that's Leo Sayer's debut album for you, Silverbird. Get that back into the box. Okay, his second studio album. This is the one that I've heard the most of. Just a Boy, from 1974. There's the back cover for you. And the songs One Man Band and Giving It All Away were all recorded by the cartoon character band's lead singer Aladdin for his 1973 self-titled record, or commonly known as Aladdin 2. Because once again, Aladdin is the man, and he's also God as well, at least to me. Even though people should be saying don't refer to anyone as God, because when you're God, you know basically everything. Like they say Eric Clapton is God, and I don't know why he said that. That's why Bob Dylan once said, well, he said that about Eric Clapton too, didn't he? But anyway, just Aladdin's the man. And there's also, and when I think of the title, Giving It All Away, it's a very similar title of Throwing It All Away, which is a Genesis song off the amazing Invisible Touch record. And it's one of my favourite Genesis albums ever of all time. Possibly my favourite three-piece Phil Collins Genesis album. The first one being, of course, then when Steve Hackett was in the band, it would have been A Trick of the Tail. And, yeah, there's a song on here called In My Life, which is also a Beatles song from the 1965 record, Rubber's Soul. And that album was released on the exact same day as the cartoon character band's debut record, My Generation, with the hit single My Generation, and we all know that is a fantastic track. And the In My Life song by the Beatles was even covered by Rod Stewart on the Every Beat of My Heart record. And also, In My Life is also a song title of Barclay James Harvest on 1975 record, Time Honored Ghosts. which is one of their finest albums. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Because there are some better albums by Bart James Harris than that one. But I don't mind Time Honored Ghosts. And then there's Telepath, which is a similar... When you put Flaming in there, you get Flaming Telepath by Blue Oyster Cult on the Secret Treaties record. And then the song and Another Time are the opening lyric, are the first two words of the Genesis song Fading Lights from the 1991 record We Can't Dance. And to me, it was a very appropriate way to end that record because of that being the last one with Phil Collins before he left 5 years later to carry on with more solo work. And what else we have? Oh yeah, and The Bells of St. Mary's is a line mentioned in the Bob Dylan song Beyond the Horizon, which is from the 2006 record Modern Times. And that is a really good album, but the only track I cannot stand on that record is Working Man's Blues No. 2, which to me is by far in the top 5 worst Bob Dylan songs ever. And then there's a song on here called Long Tall Glasses, which is also the same two words of Long Tall Sally by Little Richard, and the Beatles covered that for the Past Masters record. And I thought for a minute that was John Lennon singing it, but then when I looked online, it was actually Paul McCartney. And it's a bit odd because Lennon had that kind of screechy voice back in the 60s. Because when it came back to the Beatles, John Lennon really was the man in the Beatles. And the same with his solo years. But then McCartney became the man permanently after Lennon tragically left us. Starting with McCartney 2, which was the first album that Paul did after Wings broke up. That's pretty awesome. And One Man Band, the funny story about One Man Band is that Leo Sayer was doing this as an introduction to a performance, and he said, I'm going to do a couple of songs now, which I wrote for Aladdin, and he had an album out called Aladdin 2. You might remember this one. This is called The One Man Band. And there are some other cool songs on here as well, so what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to get you the disc. There you go. It's all green. Basically all the discs are the same, but they're just different colour. So I thought I would just show you the discs in all of them for you. And also, I forgot to mention about Long Tall Sally. It was even covered by the Kinks on their 1964 self-titled debut, which is one of the bonus tracks actually. And that self-titled debut of the Kinks is one of my favourite Kinks albums. So yeah, that's that record for you. And one more thing about the back cover. Leo Sayer has the funny clown face again. And maybe they're all just different copies of Leo Sayer. So that's very cool. So yeah. And one more thing about the front cover. It looks like a young children. It's something in a young children's cartoon, like on the kids shows like Nick Jr. and Cartoon Network and all those other ones, especially during the preschool shows for toddlers. And same with the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers record, Into the Great Wide Open. Same kind of album cover. So I'll put that back into the box there for you. Anyway, next up is Leo Sayer's third studio album, Another Year, from 1975. Then here's the back cover for you. And this album, of course, features a song on here called The Last Gig of Johnny B. Goode. And Johnny B. Goode is even a Chuck Berry song as well. And Rolling Stone names that as the greatest guitar song of all time. With a close second of Purple Haze by the Jimi Hendrix Experience of 1967 debut record, Are You Experienced? And when I think of that last gig of Johnny B. Goode, it was kind of basically on Chuck Berry's last concert, which was I think in 2014, and then he died in 2017. I think when his anniversary comes around, I might do a 1-year anniversary of a Chuck Berry tribute video for you guys. So stay tuned for that video then. And this album, of course, features the big hit single on here, Moonlighting. And when you take out the ing, you just keep Moonlight, which is also a song titled by Bob Dylan on the amazing Love and Theft album. And I'm not going to lie to you, I've been playing that album like mad lately, especially when I'm going on the train to work. And when you put the Mr. in there, you get Mr. Moonlight, which is also a Beatles song from the Beatles for Sale album. And a lot of people say that is by far one of the worst Beatles songs ever of all time. But I love Mr. Moonlight, and John Lennon's vocals are amazing. And John Lennon, I think, would be in my top 10 favourite singers of all time. Leo was close too. And then when it think of Moonlight and then you put in Madness in there, you get Moonlight Madness, which is an episode title on the Aladdin TV show. Because once again, Aladdin is the man. And as I said, its TV show of the same title is my #1 favourite TV show of all time. And Moonlight Madness is one of my favourite episodes on that show. And there's a song on here called Only Dreaming, which is a bit of a similar opposite sequence to the Beatles song I'm Only Sleeping, which is from the Revolver album. And when you take out the word only, you get the word dreaming, which is also a song title by Kiss on the 1998 record Psycho Circus, released in the year I was born. So I was 3 months old when that album came out. But obviously I didn't know anything about Kiss at that time because I would have been too young. And same with Green Day as well, because I would have been too young to listen to their music because of all the explicit language. So yeah, and there's also a song on here called On the Old Dirt Road, which is similar of Dirt Road Blues by Bob Dylan on 1997's Time Out of Mind, featuring Winston Watson on the drums. Because I think Winston Watson left Bob Dylan's band at the time because Van Morrison thought that he wasn't good at all. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. And Russ Ballard is on this album playing piano, organ and marimbas, and he did some songwriting on this album as well. And to be honest with you, I think he's a good songwriter. And then here's the disc for you. This time it's all brown, so that's useful. Because what's very cool about this box is that the titles are all in different colours. Like that's why the Silverbird disc was blue and Just a Boy was green. This one is brown. So I'm going to tell you what the next colour is when we go on to the next disc. So that's another year for you. Let's just stick that back into the box. So now, next up is his 4th studio album, and probably most people's favourite album of his. I might agree with that, but we'll find out. It's 1976, Endless Flight. There's the back cover for you. And this album, of course, features 2 hit singles. One of these includes You Make Me Feel Like Dancing, which is one of his biggest hits. And that title, to me, is very similar to the Bee Gees song, You Should Be Dancing. And You Make Me Feel Like Dancing was what Homer Simpson sang in The Simpsons one time. And Homer Simpson is part of the cartoon character band, because again, him at #2 and Aladdin #1, because again, Aladdin is the man. And also, this even has Leo Sayer's probably biggest hit single of all time, When I Need You. And When I Need You, and when I think of that title, when you take out the when, you get I Need You, which is a song title by Foreigner on the 1977 self-titled debut. And then there's also I Need You by the cartoon character band on the 1966 record, A Quick One, which was sung by Wallace. And speaking of which, Peter Sallis would have had his 97th birthday 3 days ago. So that's okay. And then there's a song on here called Reflections, which is a song titled by Diana Ross and the Supremes. And it's also a song that was in the Disney movie Mulan, one of my favourite Disney films of all time. With, of course, Aladdin being #1, because again, he's the man. And I'm going to give a quick shout out to my aunt here, because in Mulan, there's a character called Mushu, and it has the same voice actor as Donkey, Eddie Murphy. So, and when she was here the last time, I said, you're going to love that movie. So I highly recommend you check it out, because you're going to love Mushu, and you'd love the movie itself. Anyway, and then there's also, and then of course there's the title track, Endless Flight, which is a bit of a similar title of the cartoon character band's first album of original material in 24 years, Endless Wire. The only one that didn't have Shrek on bass, because it was only Aladdin and Homer. Again, Aladdin is the man. So that's pretty cool. And when I think of the front cover, he looks very cool jumping off like that. And then the back cover is very funny. It makes me laugh. It feels like he's Santa Claus coming down the chimney to deliver presents for children. Because that's the thing, once you're a kid, Christmas really means a lot to you. And also, when I think of the front and back cover, it's a very similar background logo to the original Toy Story movie. And I can see it that way. So anyway, let's get the disc for you now. The disc is all yellow. So that's the surprise there for you, because the Endless Flight box in background has a yellow background to it. So that's useful. So anyway, that's that album for you. let's stick that back into the box. Now, I'm not so sure who's actually playing on all these albums, but I know later on there is Jeff Porcaro who was in the band Toto, and he also played on the Bruce Springsteen record Human Touch. And he's on a good few of these albums actually, and I think as well as Clyde E. King, who was a backing singer for Bob Dylan, I think starting around the time of Street Legal, as this year will be the 40th anniversary of that album. So anyway, let's crack on into the next record now. This is his 5th studio album, The Thunder in My Heart, from 1977. Here's the back cover. And the back cover is very cool because it feels like he's one of those Motown singers in the studio singing, like, for example, maybe Sam Cooke or Marvin Gaye and all those. So this, of course, has a song on here called The World Keeps on Turning, which to me is a very similar type, which to me are the words mentioned in the Creedence Clearwater Revival tune, Proud Mary, with the big wheel keep on turning, Proud Mary keep on burning. And I think it's very well written, that song. And basically, Ike and Tina Turner had a very big hit with that song. And the original Creedence Clearwater Revival version is from Bayou Country, which, as I said before, is one of my favourite Creedence Clearwater Revival albums. And also, this has a song on here called... before I get on to that, when you take out Keeps On, you get World Turning, which is a song titled by Fleetwood Mac on the 1975 self-titled debut. This is not self-titled debut, because that was their 10th studio album. I meant it was the first one with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks in the band. And as a Fleetwood Mac fan, I'm only into the Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks stuff. So up as far as Tango in the Night, and then after that I lost interest in them. So then there's a song on here called I Want You Back, which is also a song titled by the Jackson 5, featuring, of course, the legendary Michael Jackson. And when you take out the back, you get I Want You, which is a song titled by Bob Dylan on the amazing Blonde on Blonde. It's also the opening track on the Kiss record, Rock and Roll Over, and it's a song by Lou Gramm and his band Shadow King after he left Foreigner, because as I said, I'm a huge Foreigner fan, but only when Lou Gramm was the singer. Although, on the Unusual Heat record, there's a song on there called When the Night Comes Down, and that's actually one of my favourite songs ever of all time, even though Johnny Edwards sang on it. That's why he wasn't accepted by the fan base of Foreigner. Now, in case you want me to say this, guys, if you want to be a fan of a band or artist, you're only allowed to like the original and best known lineup. And successful and classic lineup too. And yeah, and also I Want You is an album title of Booker T. Jones and Marvin Gaye as well. And then there's We Can Start All Over Again, which is also a line mentioned, well, similar line to We Can Start All Over Again back on the track in Bob Dylan's What Was It You Wanted from the amazing Oh Mercy record, which, as I said before, is one of my favourite Bob Dylan albums. And Willie Nelson covered that at the Bob Dylan 30th anniversary concert and did a collaboration with Chris Christopherson for I'll Be Your Baby Tonight from the John Wesley Harding record. So yeah, and then there's also the title track, Thunder in My Heart. And now I'll just get the disc for you. This time the disc is all purple, which is my 3rd favourite colour, which is very cool. So yeah, that's this album for you. Let's stick this back into the box. Now we're going to go on to Leo Sayre's 6th studio album, and when I did this last night, this was the album I stopped on because of me getting distracted. It's the self-titled Leo Sayer, 1978. Then here's the back cover for you. And basically, this will be the 40th anniversary of the album as well. But I don't know what date this album came out. So this, of course, has a hit single on here, I Can't Stop Loving You Though I Try. And it was also a big hit for Phil Collins on the 2002 record, Testify, which is one of my favourite Phil Collins solo albums. And I know it is considered by many to be his weakest album, but I don't know why. I love Testify. And it has 3 of my all-time favourite songs now, along with Can't Stop Loving You. And they are Wake Up Call, Come With Me, and You Touch My Heart. And that album, to me, brings me back to Disney a lot. Because that's why Phil Collins is one of my biggest heroes, along with Paul Stanley and Booker T. Jones, Bob Dylan, of course, and of course that guy from the cartoon character band, Aladdin. Because again, Aladdin is the man. And I forgot to mention on Just a Boy, the title Just a Boy is also a song titled by Kiss on the 1981 record Music from the Elder. And that was when Paul Stanley had some falsetto in his vocals. And I don't know why people don't like his falsetto vocals on that much. And also on The Oath from Music from the Elder, he has the same falsetto voice, which people can't stand at all. But I love his falsetto voice because Paul Stanley is one of my biggest heroes, along with Phil Collins, Booker T. Jones, Bob Dylan, and of course Aladdin from the cartoon character band, because again, Aladdin is the man. Anyway, so on this album here, that's why, of course, Phil Collins' Testify brings me back to Disney a lot, because in that year, there were 2 Disney films out in that year, which were, of course, Treasure Planet and Lilo and Stitch. Because in the following year, 2003, Phil Collins did the soundtrack to Brother Bear, and he also did for Tarzan as well. And Tarzan is another favourite Disney film for me, because basically, as a Disney fan, I'm a bigger fan of the Renaissance era, starting from The Little Mermaid all the way up to about The Emperor's New Groove. With, of course, Aladdin being number 1, because again, he's the man. I'm going to keep saying that, and it might be my answer to everyone's question these days. And also, Can't Stop Loving You is also a song titled by Van Halen from the 1995 record Balance, which was the last album before a nasty split with the second lead singer, Sammy Hagar. And it's also a song titled by Aerosmith from 2012's Music from Another Dimension. And there's also a song on here called Dancing the Night Away, which is a song title by Cream. Well, it's a similar title of Dance the Night Away by Cream from 1967's This Really Gears. And it's also similar to the song title of Van Halen from 1979's Van Halen 2, which has some amazing rockers on there. And there's, of course, I think it covers the Buddy Holly song, Raining in My Heart. And then there's a song on here called Frankie Lee, which is a similar title of the Ballad of, which is also the same title of nearly saying The Ballad of Frankie Lee and Judas Priest by Bob Dylan on 1967's John Wesley Harding. And as a matter of fact, that was how Judas Priest got their name from, which was from Judas Priest. Like, the Red Hot Chili Peppers got their name from Bob Dylan's Romance in Durango from Desire with the Hot Chili Peppers and the Blistering Sun. And there's a song on here called Don't Look Away, which is also the same title as the cartoon character band's track Don't Look Away from the 1966 record A Quick One. And there's also a song on here called No Looking Back as well. It almost feels like saying, actually no, I don't need to worry about that because I don't really need to say that. Then there's a song on, and there's loads of other good songs on here as well. Now I'll get the disc for you. Look, it's red, my favourite colour of all time. Blue is the second, purple's the third, and white is the fourth. So yeah, that's cool. So that's that record for you. Let's get this back into the box. Okay, so I finally passed now the first 6 albums, thank God. So now we're going to go on to the second half now of Leo Sayer Music career. And now we come to the final record of the 1970s. Here, from 1979. Here's the back over here. I think I forgot to mention on that album and on this record, it features Steve Cropper and Duck Don from Booker T and the MGs playing guitar and bass. So the songs on there's a song on here called The End, which is also a song titled by the Beatles on the 1969 record Abbey Road, which was the studio where all the famous British artists recorded, like Pink Floyd and David Bowie and all those. And then there's also a song on here called Lost Control, which is similar, saying She's Lost Control by Joy Division from 1979's Unknown Pleasures, which was kind of their only studio album because Closer was released a few months after Ian Curtis' death. So basically New Order's debut record is kind of Joy Division's third album, if they were still touring and performing. And then there's a song on here called The World Has Changed, which is like saying that things have changed, which is a song that Bob Dylan did for the Wonder Boys soundtrack. And it features much of his backing band on that as well. And there's a line on here called, the song on here called Taking the Easy Way Out, which is similar to saying there ain't no easy way out, which is a line mentioned in Tom Petty's Won't Back Down from the incredible Full Moon Fever record. And it features George Harrison playing guitar on that, and even Howie Epstein as well. So that's useful. Now I'll get the disc for you. It's orange. So at least we've had a different colour now, so it's like I'm nearly kind of exhausted with all the colours of the rainbow. Like all those Pink Floyd discs in the Discovery box set, they're all colourful as well. Like someone was doing a review of the Pink Floyd Discovery box set and they said that they were all exhausted with all the colours of the rainbow. Which is a similar like saying Colours of the Wind, which is a song in the movie of Pocahontas, which was released in 1995. And that was when the first computer animation film came out. Toy Story. And the first Pixar film as well. So yeah. And then, so that's about it. So that's all I have to say about this one. So let's get this back into the box. So now we left the 1970s behind, and I think around that time, Leo Sayer, I forgot to mention there, went disco-y. So now we're going to go into the 1980s now. Boom. So here is 1980, Living in a Fantasy. There's the back cover for you. And when I think of the title, Living in a Fantasy, it's a bit of a similar title of Rock and Roll Fantasy, which is a song by Bad Company, which is the opening track from 1980's Desolation Angels, which is a bit of a similar title of Desolation Row by Bob Dylan, the closing track of 1965's Highway 61 Revisited. And it's also, and even he mentions two of my favourite Disney films of all time, Robin Hood and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I forgot to mention on the Can't Stop Loving You by Leo Sayer, the version that Leo Sayer did has a similar tempo to the Bad Company song Anna from the 1975 record Straight Shooter, which actually could be my favourite Bad Company record. I know I said it was the 1974 debut album, but I'll be fair, they're both tied as my favourite, as my two favourite Bad Company records, because Straight Shooter was what the genie said to Aladdin. You gotta be a straight shooter, do you got it? Because again, Aladdin is the man. And when I think of Anna, I think, of course, he's not talking about Anna from Frozen. And of course, which version do I prefer between the Leo Sayer and Phil Collins one? I have to go with Phil Collins because it's faster. But anyway, here's what we have now on Living in a Fantasy. So, then there's a song on here called Let Me Know, which is also a song titled by Kiss, which is from the 1974 self-titled debut. But it was originally going to be called Sunday Driver, but it was later retitled Let Me Know. And that's what happens to some songs anyway. And then there's a song in here called Where Did We Go Wrong? And it's also a song titled by Barclay James Harvest from 1990's Welcome to the Show, which is one of my favourite Barclay James Harvest albums ever of all time. However, I really cannot stand that song on the album because it's very emotional, and that's what happens with all the Les songs, is that his voice is beautiful and very angelic, but sometimes they can get people into tears, as just like me. But looking back on the BJH career, they're still good. Don't get me wrong. And yeah, so I'll get the disc for you now. It's now sky blue. I'm going to just put it up there because I know you can't really see it because of the sun. So anyway, that's that album for you. And then there's a song on here called, but before I even put this back into the box, I just want to say one more quick thing. You Win, I Lose is also similar saying you win, you lose, which is a line mentioned in the Queen song It's a Hard Life from the 1984 record The Works. And that was around the time when they did the Live Aid performance. And also, I forgot to mention, It's a Hard Life is also on Aladdin's Aladdin 2 record, because again, he's the man. And that Aladdin 2 record that he did was amazing. Because all those heroes that I've mentioned, like Phil Collins, Bob Dylan, Booker T. Jones and Paul Stanley, I use Aladdin for those musicians. And then, of course, the musician who I'm talking about for the actual 1973 self-titled album. So anyway, that's Living in a Fantasy for you. I'll stick this back into the box. And basically, and then in 1981, my uncle, who was born on the exact same day as John Bon Jovi, he actually saw Leo Sayer in concert the following year, 1981. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So now we're going to go on to Leo Sayer's ninth studio album, World Radio, from 1982. Yes, back cover for you. I think around this time Leo Sayer was starting to decline a bit, but I don't think so. But maybe, we'll see once I have listened to all these records. And then, so what do we have in here? There's a song on here called Rumours, which is also an album title of Fleetwood Mac, with all the big hitters on there. Because, I mean, hey, if any album deserves a lot of potential, Rumours is definitely one of them. And then there's a song on here called Heroes, which is also a song title and album title by David Bowie, which was part of the Berlin trilogy with Low and Lodger. And now the 2017 remastered versions of the David Bowie CDs are coming out, and I'm going to be getting those, despite the fact that I have Low and Heroes in my CD collection. And I think they're going to do the same with Scary Monsters and Super Creeps as well. I'll just replace those with the 2017 remastered versions. So that's useful. Anyway, so what else we got in here? We have a song on here called The End of the Game, which is a similar title of Name of the Game, which is a Status Quo song from the Just Supposing record. And I think it's also an ABBA song title as well, which features Gammy Agneta. Because when you think of women, you look at Linda Larkin, who voices Jasmine from Aladdin, because again, he's the man, and also Jasmine is the woman. Because when you look at Jasmine or Linda Larkin, you've seen perfection, and then what do you do after that? Leave your comments below on what you think. So then, there's some other good songs in here. There's, I'm not sure what else there is. Then there's the title track, World Radio, as well. Now let's get the disc for you. Here it is. It's green, just like Just a Boy. So that's pretty awesome. So let's get this back into the box. We're almost done. So now we get 1983. Have You Ever Been in Love? From 1983. This back over here. I love the front cover. It's like he's on a carousel of a roundabout. Because I remember when I was growing up, I used to love the Magic Roundabout TV show. And then then of course I saw the movie on the big screen when it came out. But they did the TV show first before doing the movies. I don't know why. They should do a movie first, then do a TV show. So, what have we got here? Some of these songs are actually already on the previous record. So it does kind of feel like that World Radio is kind of his final proper studio album. So we have songs on here like Love Games, which is a similar title, which also is like saying Head Games by Foreigner. And then also Mind Games by John Lennon. And then there's some other good ones on here as well. And on this album, and basically Until You Came Back to Me, Sea of Heartbreak, Darlene, Don't Wait Until Tomorrow, How Beautiful You Are, Aviation, Your Love Still Brings Me to My Knees, Wounded Heart, Love Games, Never Had a Dream Come True. On the guitar, it features Mr. Hank B. Marvin. And Hank B. Marvin was who Mark Knopfler was talking about when he said, "All I ever wanted was a red electric guitar." He's got a good accent, Mark Knopfler does. And yeah, there's loads of other cool stuff on here. Then of course Jeff Porcaro's on this album doing drums. And he's basically, and as I said, he's on Bruce Springsteen's Human Touch record. And loads of other fun songs on here as well. Even though this album is kind of similar to the last record, where they have some of the same songs. Hold on, I'm actually going to get the disc out for a minute again, which was World Radio. Yes, so there's Heart Stop Beating in Time. There's Have You Ever Been in Love? There is... I think that's about it. And I think there's some other ones on there as well. So, yeah, I'll get the disc for you now. Here it is. I think it's the same colour as the... Oh, no. This is actually orange. Because I thought Another Year was brown. Actually, Another Year was brown. I thought this one was orange. But anyway, that's that for you. So that's that one. So after that, I kind of lost interest in Leo Sayer after that, and because then between 1984 and 1989, he had no albums released. So it's like I wouldn't have really listened to those last ones as I should have. So, but I'll still make comments on them for you. So here is his 11th studio album, 1990, Cool Touch. And then there's the back cover for you. Oh, he's doing the one eye. That's bad. And what else? What have we got here? So there's a song on here called "Going Home," which is the opening track of Leonard Cohen's Old Ideas record. And I remember doing the discography review of that, and I remember reciting the opening lines here, which goes like this: "I love to speak with Leonard. He's a sportsman and a shepherd. He's a lazy bastard living in a suit." It's very funny the way he says that, because Leonard always wears a suit, and so did Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett. And maybe Clint Eastwood. So then, what else we got here? There's a song in here called Paperback Town, which is like saying Paperback Writer by the Beatles, which is also on the Past Masters record, but it was recorded during the Revolver sessions, I think. To be honest with you, Paperback Writer would be in my top 10 favourite Paul McCartney Beatles performances. And there's a song on here called Heaven Knows, which is like saying Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now by the Smiths, which was recorded, which was an outtake from their 1984 self-titled debut, which is one of my favourite 80s debut albums of all time, along with Boy by U2, Face Value by Phil Collins, and Murmur by R.E.M. And there's another ones on there as well. I'll get the disc for you now. Here it is. It's all grey this time, so that's useful. So I'll get this back into the box for you. So then he kind of took a break from recording, so, which is a bit odd, but what can be done anyway. So then he comes back with his last studio album, which is 2005, Voice in My Head. And this back over here. The title Voice in My Head is also a song title by The Police, which is from the 1980 record, Zenyatta Mondata. And there's a song on here called Saturday Girl, which is like saying Sunday Girl by Blondie, which is a complete rip-off to the Ramones track Beat on the Brat from the 1976 self-titled debut. And then, what else we got here? We have Don't Look Back, which is actually a song title by Bruce Springsteen, who recorded during the Dark Side of the Edge of Town sessions. And this year will be the 40th anniversary of that record on the 2nd of June. The same with You're Gonna Get It by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and also Peter Gabriel 2. Because I think they all came out on the same day. Well, I know Peter Gabriel 2 came out on the same day as Dark Side of the Edge of Town. I think You're Gonna Get It was released on the 2nd of May, 1978. And then Don't Look Back is also a song titled by The Temptations, which was on my Temptations compilation back there. And also, I remember hearing the Places Behind You, that song. There was another version of that, but I don't know who sang it. I remember hearing that when I was in 6th grade, which was my 4th class. I just called them grades, even though I'm not in the US. I just call it the 6th grade, even though at that time I was supposed to be in grade 7, because of the age I was. And there's a song on here called, what else we got on here? Then there's Candygram, which is a bit like saying the Candyman, like the song Candyman. And that song was also in the first Madagascar movie, and as I said before, it's one of my favourite DreamWorks movies of all time. And I love the Madagascar franchise too. And then a song on here called We Got Away With It, which is a similar title of She's Got Away by Billy Joel, which is from his debut album, I think, and the very first song on his debut album. And there's a song on here called You Thrill Me, which is also in a song titled by the Everly Brothers, which is on my Everly Brothers compilation. So that's useful. And then here's the disc for you. It's pink, which is amazing. So I'll get this back into the box for you. Hold on. The box is a bit tight to get back in. There we go. So anyway, that's it for all his studio albums now. So now what I'm going to do is show you the bonus discs. So here is bonus tracks 1. So this is all the leftover material. There you go. And the songs on here include Living in America, which was recorded during the Silverbird sessions, and that's also a similar same title of a James Brown song. And then Praise the Land was recorded during the Silverbird sessions, as well as Reasons. And Reasons is also on Aladdin 2 record from 1973, because again, Aladdin is the man. Then there's Quicksand, which was recorded at the same sessions, and Quicksand is also a song title by David Bowie on 1971's Hunky Dory. And then there's a 7-inch single of The Show Must Go On. Then he covers the Beatles song Let It Be from the album Let It Be, which is again another one of my favourite Paul McCartney performances. And then there's Standing in the Rain, which was recorded during the Another Year sessions, and Standing in the Rain are examples of lines mentioned in the Beatles song Hey Bulldog from the Yellow Submarine soundtrack. And Standing in the Rain is also a song title by Electric Light Orchestra from Out of the Blue, and it's also the opening lyrics of the Best Foreigner song, Jukebox Hero from the album 4. And then there's Tears of a Clown, which is a Stevie Wonder song, recorded during the Endless Flight sessions. And I forgot to mention on You Make Me Feel Like Dancing, it was actually co-written by Vinnie Poncia, who produced Peter Criss's 1978 solo album. And the same with the Kiss albums Dynasty and Unmasked, which both feature Anton Fig playing drums. And for those of you that don't know, Anton Fig was the drummer on The David Letterman Show. And he played on the song Drifting Too Far From Shore by Bob Dylan on Knocked Out Loaded. And he was also served as the drummer in the Bob Dylan 30th anniversary concert for Booker T and the MGs. And he also played with Booker T and the MGs as well. Because I have to tell you, Anton Fig is a great session drummer. And then there's a song on here called Milky White Way, which is also a same title of an Elvis Presley song. And it was a session recording. Then there's some other ones in here as well. So yeah, that's that album for you, and I'll get the disc for you. Again, a very purplish pink disc for you. So that's that one for you. I'll get this back into the box, just so I can squeeze it in there. And then finally, bonus tracks 2. So here's what we got. We have the song Bye Bye Now My Sweet Love, which is a similar title of Bye Bye Love by the Everly Brothers, and it's also what Simon Garfunkel covered for Bridge Over Troubled Water. And then he also does a cover of the Righteous Brothers track Unchained Melody. And then there's a song on here called, then he has another Unchained Melody, then he does Love Hurts by the Everly Brothers, and then he does some other ones on there as well. And I'll get the disc for you. There it is, it's all beige. So I'll just squeeze this back into the box, and I'm sure it will fit. Yeah, it will. So there you go. That's the Leo Sayer Just a Box, the complete studio recordings, 1971 to 2006. Hope you all enjoyed it. Leo Sayer is a great songwriter and great singer. So remember to give me a like, leave your comment below on what you think of Leo Sayer, and I shall be back in the forthcoming weeks to do another video for you guys. Now I'm going to really enjoy this box set because of all these classic hits. See you later, guys. Bye bye. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your weekend.